We continue now at the top of Daf Mem Aleph Amud Aleph and Meseches Avodah Zara. This is Avodah Zarah Daf 41a. And the previous summer there was a Machlokas Tanoim in the Mishnah. Rabbi Meir says that all statues are Asur B'Hana because they're worshipped once a year. And the Chachamim say only statues that are holding particular items in their hands, only those are going to be prohibited. And the Gemara now says, Amar Rabba, Rabba says, Machlokas B'Shal Kfarim. The Machlokas between Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim is when we have statues in the villages. Avol B'Shal Krachim, but if it's in the larger cities, Divrei HaKol Mutar, and then everybody agrees that they are permitted. My time, what's the reason? Lenoi avdi lahu, because they make them as ornaments, they make them for the beautification of the city. They are not made to be worshipped. The Gemara continues with the kfarim, but in the villages, mi'ikol amanda amar lenoi ka'avdi lahu. Does anyone think that in the villages they're making it just for the beautification? That's not the kind of things that they do in the kfarim. That's not what they do in the villages. The kfarim vadai lemiflachinu avdi lahu. If you find statues in the villages, certainly it is for worship purposes. And so the Gemara says, Ela I itmar hachi itmar. Rather, if anything was stated by Rabbah, it was stated as follows. Amar Rabbah, Rabbah says, Machlokas b'shal krachim, that the machlokas actually is in the cities. Avol b'shal kfarim, but in the villages, divrei hakol asurim. Everybody agrees that they are prohibited. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, "V'chachamim omrim," and the Chachamim say, "Einon asur v'chulu." Only statues that are holding particular items are prohibited. And the Gemara says, "Makil." One of the items was a staff, and the idea of that is sheroda es atzmo tachas kol ha'olam kulo kamakil, that he rules over himself underneath the entire world like a staff. Rashi over here notes tachas kol ha'olam kulo. The idol is under the whole world. It doesn't say that the idol is ruling over the whole world, which is really what the Gemara means. And Rashi just explains lashon genai noket. The Gemara is just using a language that's degrading to the idol. Kilomar sharod al kol. But really what the Gemara means is that the staff is a symbol that the idol is ruling over everything, and that's going to be the continuation of the entire Gemara. The Gemara is always going to use these kinds of euphemisms. The Gemara continues at the two dots. Tzipor, one of the items was if it's holding a bird. Shetofe says atzmo tachas kol olam kulo ketzipor, that he grabs himself, again, underneath the whole world, ketzipor, like a bird. Again, that's a euphemism. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. Kader, a sphere. If the statue is holding a sphere, that also is a sign that it is treated like an idol and it is prohibited according to the Chachamim. And the idea is over there, Shatofe says atzmo, that it holds itself, tachas kol olam kulo, underneath the whole world, kekader, like a sphere. Again, that's a euphemism. And the idea over here is that the world is shaped like a sphere, and that's the symbolism of the statue holding the sphere. And the Gemara continues, Tana was taught, Hosifu alein sayif. They added on some other items that if the statue is holding, it's considered prohibited. It's considered that it's treated like an idol. And the first is a sayif, a sword, a tara, and a crown, v'tabas, and a ring. And the Gemara explains, sayif, a sword, why did they originally not include it and then they included it? Meikarasav, originally they thought, listim bialma, it's just a sign of just a mere robber. Ulavasov savar shahoreges atzmo tachas kol olam kula. But at the end, the understanding is that it kills itself underneath the entire world. Again, the same idea, that's a euphemism. The point is that it rules over the entire world, threatens, so to speak, the entire world. Atara, a crown, meikarasav, originally they thought, godil klili bialma, it's just like a mere wreath. It's not really symbolic of any kind of idol. Ulavasov savar, but then in the end they concluded, katara lemelech, it's like a crown for a king. And the Mesoras Hashas notes, some have the gears of lakela for a dog. Again, the idea would be a euphemism. And the Gemara continues, tabas, a ring, meikarasav, originally they thought, ishtaima bialma. Rashi explains, Ishtaima is shliach, it's a messenger, hanose chosam hamishalcho, that carries the seal of the one who sends him. So that's what they originally thought, that's the symbolism. Ulavasov savar, but at the end they concluded, shechosem es atzmo tachas kol olam kulo l'misa, that he seals himself under the entire world for death. And again, the idea is that's a euphemism. The point is, again, that that it's treated like an idol that controls the lives of everyone in the world. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel, v'chulu, Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says that if the statue is holding anything, then that means it should be treated like an idol. And the Gemara says, Tana was taught, afilu tzror, even a pebble, afilu kesem, even a toothpick. And the Gemara says, Boy, Rav Ashi asks, Tafas biyado tsoama, what if the statue is holding excrement? What would we say then? Mi amrinan, do we say, Kuli alma zilu bi'apei kitsoa, that the symbolism is that the entire world is inferior to this statue, the entire world is like the tzoa, is like the excrement, and that would mean that the statue is considered like an idol. O Dilmar, maybe hu miu dezil biapi kuli alma ketzoa, maybe it means that the statue is inferior to the entire world, the statue is like the tzoa, and the Gemara says, take with the Gemara leaves that as a question. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Hamotzi Shivrei Tzulamim, if somebody finds broken statues, Harei Elu Mutar, and those are permitted. Motza Tavnis Yad or Tavnis Regel, if a person finds the image, the statue is like a hand, or the statue is just like a foot, Harei Elu Asur, and that's forbidden. Mibnei Shakayotzi Bohen Navad, because things similar to that are worshipped. And the Gemara says, Amar Shmuel, Shmuel says, Afilu Shivrei Avodas Kochavim. When it says in the Mishnah, if a person finds broken statues, it would even be if a person finds broken Avodas Kochavim, broken idols, meaning to say that we know 100% that these were idols, but if they are broken idols, so then they are going to be permitted. The Gemara asks, Va'anan Tanan, but didn't we learn in the Mishnah, Shivrei Tzulamim, it just says broken statues, but if it's broken idols, we knew 100% they were idols, it sounds like from the Mishnah it would be problematic. The Gemara says, who I didn't know, the same would be true, the Afilu Shivrei Avodas Kochavim, the same would be true by broken idols, they also would be permitted according to the Mishnah. V'hadu Katani Shivrei Tzulamim, and the reason why the Mishnah brings the case of broken statues, Mishum Dekaboy Lemisne Seif, it's because of what's coming up at the end of the Mishnah. The Mishnah at the end says, Motza Tavnis Yad, Tavnis Regel, Hareilu Asur, and if a person finds the image of a hand or the image of a foot, so those are forbidden, Mimnei Shakayotze Bohen Nevad, because things like that are worshipped, and the idea is that that applies even by statues that you don't know for sure are idols. Still, again, if you find Tavnis Yad or Tavnis Regel, that is prohibited, and that's why the beginning of the Mishnah deals with statues, because the end of the Mishnah is dealing with statues as well. And the Gemara continues, Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Motza Tavnis Yad, Tavnis Regel. Again, if a person finds a statue that's in the shape of a hand or the shape of a foot, Harei Elu Asur, and these are prohibited, Mimnei Shakayotze Bo Nevad, because things like that are worshipped. And the Gemara says, Amai, why? And Rashi explains, Amar Shmuel, Shmuel says, Afilu Shivrei Avodas Kochavim, even if it's broken idols, it's permitted. Lotema Shivrei Tzlamim Dafka, don't say that just broken statues. Mishum Deshemelo Avodah Me'olam, because maybe they weren't worshipped at all. Afilu Kishayu Shleimin, even when they were whole. Ti Afilu Shivrei Avodas Kochavim, even if it's broken idols, Shira Inum Shavdua, that we saw that they served this idol, Kishayis Shleimin, when it was whole. Mutar, and it's still permitted if it's broken, Dekevan Denishbra, Shuvein Ovdenosa. Once it was broken, so then we know already they're not serving it. Mishum dekaboy lemisne seifa, and the reason why the Mishnah talks about statues specifically is because of the end of the Mishnah. Ditana avodas kochavim, because if it said actual idols, havamina dafka avodas kochavim demotza tavnis yado tavnis regel dasur, I might think only by a real idol, if you have a statue of a hand or of a foot, that would be prohibited. Again, if you have something in the shape of a hand or a foot by an actual idol, that would be prohibited. Avot slamim, but one might think that, let's say it was just statues, so afilu tavnis yad, if you just happen to have a statue of a hand, shari, that would be permitted. Lahachi tana bereshat slamim, that's why it says in the beginning of the Mishnah, statues, lemeimer means to say, diafagav deshem alo avdom, even though maybe they were not served, we don't know for sure that this is anything more than a statue. Afilu achi l'shever chashav, nevertheless, if the broken piece is an important kind of thing, could go into tavnis yad, like it's made in the image of a hand, chashin, and then we are concerned, uchesha omden al besisan, and Rashi notes that this is specifically when the hand is on some kind of a base, kedemukim leila kamon, as the Gemara will say later on, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Aleph Amud Beis.